Welcome to Healing Lives with Positivity 24/7, 365. 365 and 24/7. This is a platform dedicated to obsessively, compulsively, deliberately focusing in on all things positive, constantly reminding yourself why you started, why you are here, what is your life path number, catering to your inner child. So, from my beautiful, amazing, intelligent, inquisitive inner child to your inner child, congratulations. You made it. Congratulations. Listen, come on in, my beautiful soul family. Let's talk about playing the victim. You know, it's so easy to play the victim when doing the shadow work. You know, I know when you're a child, you're a dependent, you're depending on certain adults to hold a space of safety for you, intuition, discernment, at times that maybe you can't do that for yourself as of yet. So shadow work, playing the victim, releasing and or forgiving, right? As I was sitting in the car this morning doing my morning meditation and just giving some things some thought, I thought, oh, it's so easy to play the victim. You know, remember the narcissist that you encountered that changed your life, made you feel away, made you feel less than? I said it's so easy to focus in on what we let people do and pointing the finger, accusing them in a very accusatory energy of how they treated us. But it's a very powerful stance that one takes with themselves when they stand up and take accountability for what they allowed. For some of us, y'all, it was family members, that trauma bonding saying, oh, but that's your sister. Oh, but that's your mother. Oh, but that's your dad. So you would let toxic things slide, or maybe you extended a little bit more patience than you should have, but you always got the short end of the stick. And you're saying, well, if this is family, then what do I need enemies for, right? For some of you, you had a very healthy family dynamic. That is a blessing. That means that somebody did the work before you came into the world. But fast forward as an adult, right? When we talk about playing the victim, when we talk about victimized, I feel victimized, I feel violated. Let's talk about it. How it resonates in the body. That's what I just heard. Metaphysically, pain, hurt, trauma, and being the victim. This card came up in the reverse. The buttocks, the what is it called? The gluteus maximus? Gluteus maximus? The buttocks, sitting too long, the bottom of things, sexuality, attraction, and resting your loins. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know why I couldn't say that word. The gluteus maximus, the gluteus minimus, basically your arse, your ass, connected to sitting too long in a situation. That's like allowing somebody to play over your top for too long. Sitting in a relationship that maybe you felt like you needed to get out of, right? One has to take accountability. Now, be this as it may, this is general energy. This won't apply to everybody. So in this case, always use your discernment. Take what resonates and leave the rest. For some of you, it was letting family members slip and slide all over the place, right? If you let something slide, then people will slip and slide here and there, right? But allowing, setting boundaries. People will only do what you allow them to do, right? You're either standing in your power, looking at yourself, seeing everything that you've had to go through as a tool, as a lesson for something greater. Hold on. I actually had a quote. I'm reading this book, and this quote was so powerful from one of my favorite teachers. And it was very simple, and it really it grabbed me, it grabbed me, it took hold of me. Sometimes you read stuff and it grabs you, it wraps around you, it sits in your mind and you think about it. And it was very simple. And the quote said, all is indeed a blessing if you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. The divine Prince Tai Emeka, who's one of my favorite practitioners. So I thought that was interesting. Let's get into the energy around that, okay? Full moon energy. A lot of people see the full moon as a time to transmute. I feel like you can transmute whenever you want. You don't have to wait on a new moon, full moon, in between the moons. You are a controller of your own mind, right? Taking control of your life is like taking responsibility. And that's the catch. It's easy to blame why things aren't going the way they need to go. You know, only if my parents had put me in a better school. And I'm just using this as an example. Only if my mom and dad had done this, that, and the other. Only if my ex-husband hadn't have been this, that, and the other. Only if my ex-wife had just, you know, done what she was supposed to do, then I would be here, I would be there. It is so easy to find reasons, excuses of why things didn't work the way they worked. But when you stand in your own power, you take accountability, that's a very powerful stance, because now you have to take responsibility. So if something goes wrong in your life, you're the one that's to blame. And most times, blame leads to shame when it's self-inflicted, but it's an energy that one should seek to sit in, okay? I felt that. Tell us what we need to see. Yeah, I can't make this up. Look, you are stronger. You are stronger than you think. This is what Spirit is saying. You are stronger than you think. So maybe there were situations, circumstances that made you feel weak. Maybe you lost confidence. Maybe you lost yourself. Maybe you lost your moral compass. Maybe there was no boundary, right? Sometimes we go into relationships and we assume that people know our boundaries. We assume that they know how to treat us. But the assumption is only based on how you're presenting yourself and how you're showing up in the relationship. You got a lot of different personality types, you know. Some people are really dominant. They take control. Then you have the ones that fall back, you know. They kind of go with the flow. They're a good accessory to the relationship. But they sit back and they allow things to happen, or they wait for things to play out with the hopes that it's going to fix itself. There's so many narratives and so many dynamics by way of relationships and how they're set up, but it's all a reflection of self, right? So playing the victim, talk to us, universe. What is it that you want us to know? You are a work in progress, and that is okay. So, you know, adhering to the fact that you are a work in progress, if only to say that for the day, I'm a work in progress, I'm a work in progress, hey, I'm a work in progress, to myself constantly. That is an affirmation. Waking up in the morning, you know what, I'm a work in progress. I'm under construction. I will always be under construction. There is no final destination. It does keep going on, and there are points in this life that will require us to be somebody new. I embrace that somebody new. I like her. I like him. My new version of myself is well. I love me. I like me. These are affirmations. These are things that one should obsessively, compulsively, deliberately just focus on 365, 24/7. Having a real conversation constantly, all day. I like me. I love me. And when you do it, you got to say it with your chest. You know, your chest has a lot to do with your breathing. Your breathing has a lot to do with flow. Your flow has a lot to do with you activating your throat chakra, where the universe is hearing you, and you're speaking that out into the atmosphere. And even if your mouth is not moving, you're still having a conversation with the universe. Your thoughts are words. Your thought is energy. It creates an effect. It creates a manifestation, be it good, bad, and or indifferent. So holding oneself 100% accountable for this life, right? The one that you chose, the reason you came, holding yourself accountable to it will definitely put you in a position where you have to divorce the version of yourself that desperately wants to be the victim, right? What part of the body? The back. So metaphysically, the back represents fear. Like if there's pain in the spiritual body, if the spirit is suffering, then it's going to resonate in the physical body. So back pains, lower back pains, a fear of change, the kidney area, not really liking the way that life looks, blocking flow. Remember, the kidneys have to flow. They flush out. They're like a inner piping system, right? So getting an ample amount of water, trapped toxins, soul ties, knowing how to break a soul tie from within will definitely help you clear that space. What I found though, this is what I found, okay? Most of the energy that we break and that we have to let go of, most of it doesn't even belong to us. I remember when I really first felt my energy without anybody else's energy in my energy. And I feel like that was because I had made it to a point where I didn't care so much about other people's energy as I did myself. Because I said, you know what, how can I be a good friend, a good wife, a good sister, a good daughter, a good mother, if I am preoccupied on things that don't concern me? So I said, what are the things that concern me, right? So all things concerning me. I feel like when one does that and you really focus on that, you absolutely have to hold yourself accountable to what you're responsible for. And doing that helps you divorce narratives of yourself that are begging to be the victim. Some people love a good sad story. That's usually how a lot of relationships start out. We see it as kind of getting to know somebody, and people talk about their past, but there is no getting to know you based on who you've been unless you're still that same person. And how people recant their stories determines where they're at, how they feel about it on every physical level. Every physicality that you feel is telling you something about the emotion rooted in the physical body, the spiritual body. Emotionally, it's going to show how you feel. I remember there was a time in my life that I would feel things in my chest a lot. Like I would take things to heart. I would go to the doctor. They're like, nope, you're fine. Your heart's fine. You're young. You're this, you're that. So I said, okay, this is physical in the sense that it's emotional. It's a physical energy that is affecting me from something that I've not released. And I had to be honest in that. I had to own that. I had to really I couldn't play the victim to it. It didn't mean that I hadn't been betrayed or stabbed in the back, but I'm like, how did I allow that? Where did I miss what was going on? Because intuitively, one is always going to see the truth when they're being honest with themselves and walking in their truth. I'm a firm believer of that. And so the physical and spiritual body, for anything in the body that is feeling dis-ease, right? Or creating frequencies that are low vibrational, it stems from an emotion. Metaphysically, I truly believe that. I really want to bring more metaphysical techniques to this platform, and I feel like I will introduce that. I'm also going to stay in alignment with the life path numbers, just on a little commercial break, a side note, because I feel like the collective needs to connect the dots. As I feel like we're already doing, I just feel like this information is going to be an accessory to your ascension in addition to what we're already doing. So let's just check, collective energy. We're going to check it out, see what's going on under this full moon, okay? A lot of illusions, a lot of projections, right? So my thing is this, projections are powerful. When you still feel a certain way about something, it can absolutely penetrate your energetic field. It can make you feel a way internally, physically, spiritually, right? And you know how we say what goes around comes around? That's how I see the moon cycles, okay? What goes around comes around is kind of like, if you could just see this from a different perspective, see beyond the veil, you will see that it is a test. This takes me back to that quote. You will see that it's just a test. Now, what goes around comes around, but it doesn't mean that you have to deal with it the same way that you initially did. Yeah, there's been some very traumatic moments in our lives, right? Some things that literally took the wind out of us, right? And so with that being said, when it goes around and it comes back around, the only thing that has changed is the way I see it. This is what I hear Spirit say. This is what I hear Spirit encouraging us, to have an attitude of like, the only thing that is different is me. So now the effect of whatever that projection is, whatever that illusion is, that wants to spin the block. It could be a thought, it could be an action, whatever that is. It can only have an effect if I'm still the same person, right? If I'm still the same person, if I still feel the same way about whatever the situation, the test, the cycle, whatever this is, if I still feel the same way, then 9 times out of 10, I'm very likely to have the same reaction, right? And it's not good to have the same reaction to something, because that means that no change has taken place. So now I have to see this with new eyes, not from the position of the victim, but from a position of power, like taking your power back and owning it. And when you own your power and you call your power back, you're now putting yourself in the biggest commitment that you'll ever experience, which means now if something happens, you have to hold yourself accountable, right? Full moon energy, Holy Spirit. Yeah, you got some dark ass energies out here. The Hierophant and the reverse. Yeah, I'm telling you, a lot of these people are scared because of your healing. I can't make this up. You got the Hierophant and the reverse. Hierophant in the reverse also represents like trying to stop you from speaking. Okay, so maybe there was a time in life where you felt like you did not have a voice, and somebody's trying to project that energy out to you, or they're remembering you that way. That is a projection. But again, when this energy spins the block, it has nowhere to go. If you're not the same person, remember, your voice comes from within. So it's your inner conversation that will determine how you navigate through these shadows, frequencies, cycles. What goes around comes around. Yeah, what goes around comes around, but I'm not the same. So if I'm not available to it, then it's a no. Yeah, you're stronger than you think. That's what I just heard. Ooh, you got the Knight of Swords in the reverse. I might have to take this to spiritual court. Clarify what's going on. The Emperor with the Hermit. Something about you being a leader, a power like unto God. Tapping into your God frequency, the Hermit energy, Virgo energy. Yeah, full moon energy. What's good? Spirit is saying you're stronger than you think. Some of you stayed in situations for too long. I know I've been there. Been there, done that. It's over. The only thing that's changed is me taking accountability for what I will no longer allow and what boundaries are necessary. There are some non-compromising rules when it comes to life. There are some things you cannot compromise. 1 is your sanity. 2 is your peace. 3 is your physical, spiritual body. Playing Russian roulette with the world and playing the victim will always lead you to a place where you feel stifled, right? Okay. You are a work in progress. Yeah, you got a lot of people that want to apologize, but again, they need you to be the same person in order to feel as though you will accept something from them. Again, what goes around comes around. You know how we say something spins the block, divine timing, right? Sometimes things spin the block and they're in a better place, space than they were when you initially visited them at whatever time that was. But to revisit something, to look at it from a different perspective, now taking accountability for self and responsibility for self. 1, about how I feel about it. 2, about how I react to it is going to be a different kind of spin the block ass energy. In real life, coming up as the Magician. A lot of people doing illusion magic, right? But their illusions have nothing to do with your reality because you're sound, you're grounded. The buttocks, the gluteus maximus and the minimus, sitting too long, getting to the bottom of things, right? The body is so smart. Everything represents something. Resting your loins, the back, responsibility, having adequate support, security, tension, feeling weighed down and having secrets. I feel like the back represents the scales. You see the way the back looks like the scales? Don't that look like the scales, the way that comes down? There's balance. That's Libran energy. I feel like when you're spiritually imbalanced or imbalanced and balanced, I feel like the balancing of it all affects the physical back. I feel like you walk different. I feel like you don't walk hunched over. You walk straight up. You know how to keep the flow. Your chest is wide open, right? Shoulders back with the back. This is healthy for the body emotionally and physically, because what you're telling the universe is that I'm open for flow. I'm open. But when the back is hunched over, it's a sign of fear, brokenness. I'll use myself as an example. When I lost my child 15 years ago, he would have been 15 last month, right? I remember when I lost him at 9 months being pregnant, and literally, y'all, quite literally, I was broken. Like, I couldn't even sit up straight. I was literally broken. But my physical body was reacting to my emotional body. And I remember the day I wanted to sit up straight. The moment I sat up straight and was like, okay, I gotta go and I gotta live my life. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I cried. Why? Because now flow can happen. Water can flow. Tears are a purging. Tears are a cleansing. Tears are a blessing. It is a valve to release much necessary water from your body. It is cleansing. It is healing. And the same with your kidneys, your bladder, your intestines. When you're releasing things from your body and there's flow, it's because the body is ergonomically correct. When the body is ergonomically correct, your whole physical body is letting the universe know, hey, yeah, listen, I'm open. I love, my heart is healed, my chest is up, my shoulders are back. I'm walking in a way that I'm providing flow, and I'm breathing in a way that I'm going with the flow of life. Because going with the grain is holding your breath, hunched over, bad posture. You feel broken. That's why being on the cell phone too much is not good. A lot of people are constantly like down like this, constantly. And they never look up. I remember the day when people used to look up. I love people that make eye contact. Most times you see people walking through the world, they're on their phones. There's no interaction. But online, virtually, they feel connected. But in the real world, they're very disconnected, right? So reconnecting to that, that's what I just heard. Yeah, playing the victim. Queen of Cups, self-love. Filling your own cup before you decide to fill somebody else's cup. Okay? That is your justice. Libran energy, the sword. This is not only the sword, but the scales. Communicating to your spiritual body in a way that you will no longer play the victim, even though you've definitely had some things happen to you that were wrong, right? But giving yourself the love that maybe you thought that other people were obligated to give you, even if that was never verbalized. Sometimes, again, assumptions are just not good when we assume that people know what it is that we want. So Spirit is saying something about treating yourself a certain way, right? That is your boundary. You know, I don't play about me. I love me. I protect me, type energy. The sun. Listen, this is beautiful energy. Now, up under this full moon, I will be honest, my ears are ringing already. And I heard take the leap of faith with the Fool card. My ears are ringing. So I'm going to go on over to spiritual course, see what's going on. But with the Hierophant in the reverse, y'all, and the Knight of Swords in the reverse, you got a lot of people that see that you're growing spiritually. We're going to tap into that energy over at Spiritual Core TV. Join me there. I will put the link in the description box. It's so funny because all my platforms are like a triangle. What I start on Spiritual Core sometimes goes over to High Priestess, Divine High Priestess Activated page. If you haven't joined me over there, join me over there too if you want, okay? Maybe you like it here. Maybe you're more into the inner child shadow work, because that's what this platform is about, just to help you through those shadows, right? And then it's like it comes right back to this platform. So today I was like, let me go show some love on healing lives with positivity. But I feel like with this Hierophant and Knight of Swords energy in the reverse, somebody is definitely trying to make you feel like a victim. That's what I just heard. This is like nasty projections. What goes around comes around. It can come back around. Doesn't mean that you have to look at it the same way. Doesn't mean that you have to respond to it the same way, whatever the it is. Sometimes it's a memory. Sometimes it's a thought. Sometimes it's a weird projection. Again, I think I was saying before I cut myself off about how I didn't realize how many people's energy I was carrying until I stripped it away, pulled it back layer by layer. I'm like, this is totally not my energy. That is not like, when you co-create with somebody, they download their memories into you, right? When you co-create, and when I mean co-create, I mean by way of sexual energy. When you transfer that energy, I think I'm going to do a reading over on the other platform. Divine High Priestess activated on that. And then we're going to talk about this Dark Practitioner on Spiritual Court TV. 2 different separate videos, okay? I'll link them on this page if you're interested. But I'm telling you, when you really pull back the layers and you really get to the root of it all and you hold yourself accountable, no longer being the victim, you will realize just how much you were carrying other people's responsibilities and how much they just dumped on you, right? So when we talk about breaking a soul tie, it's like returning people back to their homework. It's like, I'm not doing your homework for you. That's not even my energy. That's not even my insecurity. Here's your homework. Take your energy back. That's what a soul tie is. Because you need to hear your own spirit. You need to hear your own voice. You need to know your own energy. There were times when I would be around people and all of a sudden I would start getting sad. And I'm like, what the hell? Now looking back, knowing more now than I did then, I was picking up on other people's emotions as an empath. Because I would say to myself, like, why do I feel sad? I don't want to be sad. Like, I don't want to be sad. What is this? This is not my energy. But then I was totally ignorant. I didn't know, right? But now I know, oh, okay. I was picking up on somebody else's energy. Sometimes you could be picking up on your neighbor's energy or somebody in your house. It just kind of depends on what the domesticated arrangement is by way of who you live with. If you're in an apartment, sometimes you pick up on your neighbor's energy, right? So it's so important to be able to discern what energy belongs to you, what energy belongs to somebody else, not being the victim to anybody else's energy, not feeling responsible for anybody else's energy, but owning your own energy, taking responsibility. And if something happens, you only have yourself to have a conversation with about why it happened that way, holding yourself accountable. That self-reprimand, checking yourself before you wreck yourself, is a lifesaver. I love y'all though. I do. I love you. I do. Wrap your arms around yourself. Let yourself know I got every right to be here on this day. I'm so grateful. God is good. God is within. And listen, I love y'all. I will see you in the next video. Give this video a thumbs up, like, love, share. Thank you for the support. And I will see you in the next one. Peace be with you.